Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience as an English language assistant in Spain. I was placed in Almeria in Andalusia and I had put Andalusia as my first choice because you have to pick the regions for the British Council language assistantship. So I picked Andalusia, Asturias and something else, I don't remember what my third option was, and I was very lucky because I was placed in Almeria city and my schools were very central, so a lot of the English language assistants, they actually would need to get a bus to their schools or they would have to commute with their teachers and stuff like that, but I was very lucky because I just had to walk to my schools and it was like a 10-15 minute walk. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is finding a flat or finding an apartment. Because this is something that I was very concerned about before I left for Spain. I was like overthinking this far too much and I was like, oh my god, how am I just going to go to Spain without having a place to live? I don't know anybody. I kept like writing on the Facebook groups like, has anyone found a flat, like what's going on? And I was like really freaking out about it, but now that I think back to it, I'm just like, why was I freaking out about it? Because I was very lucky in that I found the flat the first day I went flat hunting. Basically what I did is that I booked an Airbnb for 1 week in Almeria, and then I was like, okay, I'll go to Almeria and then try and find a place within that week, and if I don't, I'll just need to book another Airbnb or a hotel or whatever. But I was very lucky because I went to the beach and I actually met this girl who was also from Glasgow, and she was like, oh, are you looking for a place? I was like, yeah. And then she was like, oh, do you want to go look together? So the next day we went to look. We looked at maybe 4 or 5 flats and we found the one that we wanted. I ended up living with her and another Scottish girl who was from Inverness. Now, initially I actually wanted to live with Spanish people because I was like, right, I'm going to go to Spain, I'm going to live with Spanish people and speak with them in Spanish all the time, and my Spanish is going to improve so much. But I ended up living with 2 Scottish girls, but honestly I wouldn't change it for the world because we all got on so well. I didn't have any problems with them at all. We would like do things together. Okay, so since I'm talking about the flat, I'm going to talk a little bit about the pay and the living expenses. So basically if you're in Andalusia you get paid €700 a month for being an English language assistant. So I used to work 12 hours a week, which is like hardly anything, but I know in other places you can work 16 hours a week and you get paid more for that. Also if you go to like Madrid you get paid €1,000, and yeah, depending on where you are you'll get paid more or less, and it's basically according to, I guess, the cost of living in that region or area. Now you might be thinking like €700, that's not a lot of money to live off for 1 month, but in Spain and particularly in Andalusia I felt that it was enough money for me. It kind of maybe depends on your lifestyle. So I recommend living with other people because you'll save more money because you'll all be paying for things together hopefully. And then I have to say in Almeria the food was so cheap, even going out to eat at restaurants it was extremely cheap compared to like the UK for example. So in general I would say that the €700 is plenty of money. But I will say that before you go to Spain you should probably save up money because you have to pay for your flights, you have to pay for like insurance if you want to get that, you'll need to pay for, there's an ICPC thing that you need to pay for, I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'll put it here. And then also when you first get to Spain you have to put a deposit down for a flat, and I think usually you have to pay the first month's rent as well. Obviously you need to have money for all of that, and then also you won't get your pay in the first month usually. Usually there's a bit of a delay with getting your pay, so you need to have the funds so that you can live in Spain for maybe a month or so. Now I was quite lucky because my pay came pretty much when it was expected, but I know of another language assistant who had problems with getting her money. I know that in Valencia they're like notorious for not paying their language assistants on time, like it can be like quite a few months before you get your pay, so you need to take that into consideration before you go. Also if you're going to be travelling in Andalusia or even in other parts of Spain, I don't think the €700 is enough. You're going to need to again have more money so that you can travel and stuff. But on top of the €700, I used to do tutoring, so I used to charge €15 an hour for 1 hour, and I worked with 2 teachers that were actually at my school. Yeah, I used to do like 2 hours of tutoring every week as well, which was really helpful because it was like a bit of extra money. But I know a lot of language assistants would do tutoring with children, but I never ended up tutoring any kids. I just worked with adults, which I kind of preferred. Right, so I'm going to talk about the actual job. So I worked in a primary school and I worked in a high school. I used to do 8 hours in the high school, 4 hours in the primary school. I actually preferred working in the primary school, but I did less hours. So because I was working with such a wide range of children, I guess, I would do different things depending on the class, depending on the age as well. So in the primary school I worked with 5 to 7 year olds, so they were quite wee, they were quite young. So with them I did a lot of like songs. I would do like activities with like colouring, like sticking things on. I would do presentations in English and then their teacher would like translate it in Spanish, because I was not allowed to speak to the kids in Spanish, which was a little bit annoying because I couldn't really have that kind of like teacher relationship with them, especially the kids in the primary school, because obviously they barely spoke English. Like they could say like hello, like how are you and stuff, and they knew like a few words here and there, but I couldn't really speak to them in Spanish. But eventually in one of the classes the teacher was actually like, yeah, you can talk to them in Spanish. So I would talk to them in Spanish, and sometimes I would actually find it hard to understand what they were saying because they would be like talking so fast, and also like really wee kids, like sometimes in general like it's just hard to understand what they're saying. And then in the high school I worked with kids that were aged 12 to 16, so that was quite a different experience obviously because they're much older, and depending on what class I was in I would do different things. So again, I would make presentations and do presentations with them. Sometimes I would go out of the class and work with them in small groups, and I actually preferred that. It was so much better because I felt like when I was taking the full class I don't know if everyone was understanding me, whereas when I was working with them in small groups, like I could like talk to them one-on-one, or like if there was like 3 kids I could like talk to them, and it was like just more manageable for me. So I really preferred that, to be honest with you. I used to play games with them. They absolutely loved bingo. Like I've never seen like one of the 3rd year classes, I didn't think that they liked me very much, which is fine, but they just never seemed enthusiastic. And then it was Christmas time and I played like bingo with them, and I've never seen them being like so enthusiastic and like wanting to participate, and they all wanted to win, and it was really funny for me. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing games with them in English as well. I feel like it's a good way for them to learn, and also it's less like there's less structure and they're like enjoying themselves more. Also I would try and like just talk to them sometimes, like when I was talking to them one-on-one, just asking them stuff like, oh, what do you like to do, what did you do at the weekend, like what's your favourite TV show. Usually because I wasn't that much older than them, like I would be like maybe watching the same stuff as them or like into the same music as them, so I would like talk to them about that. And I found that it really helps, especially with the high school kids. I just wanted them to be able to talk to me without feeling so much pressure, like oh my god, this is a teacher from Scotland. Well, I wasn't a teacher, I was a language assistant. Also in the high school I worked in so many different classrooms, so I did like maths, English, technology, art, music, I can't remember, geography, history. So some of them I enjoyed more, some of them I didn't enjoy, because in some of the classes I was just like, what am I supposed to do? And also I had no teaching experience before I did this, so sometimes I was feeling a bit lost. I tried to talk to the teachers in the high school as much as possible. Obviously like the class that was like easiest for me was the English classes, because I was like teaching them English or vocabulary or like some grammar points or whatever. But for example the technology class was probably one of the hardest classes for me, because it was like there wasn't much that I could do, so sometimes I would just be like floating about, like just talking to the kids here and there. But I have to say, like the teachers were really nice and understanding, so they did help me quite a lot. So because you're only working 12 hours a week, you've got a lot of free time. I was very lucky because in Almeria there's a beach, so I would go to the beach a lot, or I would like go to cafes, or like be in my flat or whatever. So you do have a lot of free time, and because you're only working 12 hours a week, usually you can get the Monday or Friday off. So they actually asked me, and I asked for the Monday off, so I would have Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. So a few weekends I would go to different places in Andalusia and just travel and just go to new places. And then also you've got the school holidays, so like when you've got the puentes and the Semana Santa and stuff, you've got days off, so you can travel in that time as well. During the Christmas holidays I came back to Glasgow, and I just came home to visit my family and stuff. Okay, so let's talk about making friends and meeting people. This is one of the things that I was most nervous about when I went, because I'm quite an introverted person. Although even though I'm introverted, that doesn't mean that I don't want to make friends, but I'm also quite a shy person, a wee bit awkward as well. So I was like nervous before I went. I'm like, how the hell am I going to talk to people and like make friends? But it just kind of happened naturally. Like, well, two of my roommates, obviously I was friends with them, and then we would go out, especially at the start. There was like a lot of events where all the English assistants would meet up. Because we were in Almeria, which is quite a small city, we actually, like, all the English assistants kind of knew each other, especially the ones that lived in Almeria city. So actually most of the times when I would go out, I would bump into other language assistants, I would bump into my students at the school, I would even bump into the teachers at my school. So naturally, like, we would do things as groups with other language assistants. In terms of making Spanish friends though, I only made one Spanish friend, and she speaks a bit of English but not really that much, so when I was with her I would have to like speak in Spanish the whole time, which was like perfect for me because I was like, I need to practice. Because I have to say that I did want to improve my Spanish more, but because I was always with like people from the UK or from the US, a lot of the time I was speaking in English. Now I'm going to talk about COVID, because COVID like hit when I was in Almeria in March. It was like middle of March or something. They were like, the school's closing down for 2 weeks, as I'm sure everyone had that same experience. And then we were actually getting ready to be in lockdown in Spain, and we actually went to the supermarkets and we bought like so much food and stuff. We were like, right, we're gonna need this all if we're gonna be in lockdown here. But then the next day we were like, right, we should probably book flights back home. When COVID hit, I was actually still working for the school, so I was just like making online content for them. I made videos for them, and I made like, not worksheets, but like quizzes and stuff like that, and they would put it on their blog and stuff. Even though I had to come home early, I'm still really grateful that I got to do the 5 months. Even though I was expecting to stay there until June, I still feel like I got so much out of my British Council experience. Like in terms of the job, in terms of travelling, meeting people, like doing new things, like it was honestly amazing. I travelled quite a bit while I was there, just in Spain. I didn't actually go out of Spain, but I travelled to a lot of places in Andalusia, which was just like insane. Even though I'm talking about all the very positive things, there was a few things that happened to me when I was there that were not so good. Not involving other people, but just things like I had to go to the doctors quite a few times. I actually had to go to the hospital a couple of times, but because it was before Brexit, I had an EHIC card, so I managed to like sign up for the doctors there, and it was free, and when I went to the hospital and stuff it was free as well. So I will say that that was definitely an interesting time as well. And then also just like mental health struggles as well when I was in Spain, homesickness, like missing my family and stuff like that. But with homesickness, it's kind of one of these things that you just are going to experience probably if you move to a different country. But I feel like you just need to keep going. Actually, when I came home at Christmas time and I went back to Spain in January, I was so homesick, I just wanted to leave, and I was literally texting my mum like, I'm gonna come back home, like I can't do this anymore. And my mum was like, yeah, just come back, because she was missing me so much, and she wanted me to come back. But I'm really glad that I didn't go back, and I just kept going with it, because honestly January and February were like such good months for me there, and I had like really good experiences, because it was also the first time that I had moved to a place and the first time that I wasn't living with my family. Like, I've always lived with my family my whole life, so that was hard. And then also I will say that that initial first week there was the worst week I think that I experienced there, because I just felt so alone, and like a loneliness that I had never experienced before. Like when you're in a different country and you're completely alone and you don't know anybody, that is hard. But you know, just try and talk to people as much as you can. Try and talk to your teachers, talk to other language assistants. Yeah, just try and make friends if you can. I know sometimes it is difficult, but try and go to language exchanges. Even you don't have to go to language exchanges. There's like, you can like go to the gym, there's like clubs that you can go to. I remember like my flatmates used to go to dance classes or like yoga. Reach out to people. There's usually like Facebook groups for specific countries, so I would recommend joining them. And just like messaging, saying like if anyone wants to go to the beach or go to a cafe, whatever. Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention is all the paperwork that you have to do. Now when you get to Spain, you have to get this thing called an NIE card. It's not even a card, it's literally the most flimsy bit of blue paper, and it's got your information on it, and you have to like fill out these forms, and then you have to go to the, I can't remember what it's called, but the place where they do that. And oh, that is an experience in itself. If you're American or if you're a different nationality, it might be different, because I remember they had to get a TIE, and because I went before Brexit, I didn't actually have to get a visa. But now, if you're from the UK and you're doing this programme, you need to get a visa. While I was in Spain, my plan was to like vlog my adventures, my experience, make videos, but at that time I was not making YouTube videos. Which makes me kind of sad, because I'm like, I could have made so many cool videos while I was there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was useful to you. If you've got any questions at all, leave them down below and I will answer them. Or if you want to ask me about something specific, you can DM me on Instagram as well. My Instagram is umberlearnslanguages, and I'll reply to you there. I've been talking for a long time and I've covered a lot of things, but I'm sure I've probably missed things as well. But if you've got any questions, as I said, let me know. If anyone's doing the programme or if anyone's going this year, good luck to you, and I hope you have a really good experience. One more thing that I need to add is that everyone's experience is different, because I've got 2 friends from here as well who did the programme, but they were placed in different places. As I said, one of my friends was in Calamocha, one of my friends was placed somewhere in France, and we all had a very different experience. So I mean, some people have a really good experience, some people might have a bad experience, or it might not even be good or bad, but it might be like a bit of both. So just remember that when you're watching these videos, because not everyone's experience is the same. I do think it's a really good programme to do. I did it in between my 2nd and 3rd year of uni, so I took a gap year to do it, and I did not regret it, because in 3rd year my Erasmus was cancelled. So I was like, thank God I took a gap year and did that, because if not I wouldn't have gone to Spain at all basically. But yeah, I really recommend the programme to anyone from the UK. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Nos vemos. Ciao!